So now I want to look at COVID. This view of COVID, economic view, would be that COVID's an infectious disease, comes from proximity. We have to be near each other. I'm not going to give COVID to somebody who lives in Alaska. I haven't been to Alaska for 10 years, and it probably won't be for another 10 years. So they're not getting it from me, but people near me may get it. So this is a local thing. Somewhere, like Murphy said, where employers might have the means and the willingness to do it. The demand, according to this analysis, would be n times as big. If the employer is 40 times the size of the family, their willingness to pay would be 40 times what a family would be willing to pay. Also, I think the means for preventing, there may be scale economies in preventing disease. Like that occupational nurse, there was a degree of scale economies. I suppose if the firm gets big enough, you need 2 of those nurses, and bigger still, you need 3. But there's an element of scale economies. We saw during COVID, some employers invented their own tests, their own COVID tests. The University of Illinois is one. Did that. Massive organization, employer, and also they have students, clearly. They invented their own test, the spit test. I don't care how smart a Nobel Prize winner you are, you can't do that at home with your wife, invent your own test. So the supply is greater at workplaces and the demand is greater. But the epidemiologist said we shouldn't go to work because we're like close to each other and the closeness is a problem. So now we have like economics versus epidemiology going on here. Epidemiology says it's going to spread more at work, more at school. Economics says, well, the prevention is going to be more at work and in school. So how's that going to play out? Well, one thing we saw is that the prevention was more at work and the school. It kind of rules around masks, taking the temperature, keeping track of where members of the community go. Those are the kind of things workplaces did. Amazon was a little creepy. They had cameras around. And so if I were an Amazon employee, it's like, oh, I just got COVID. They'd go back to their computer and find everyone who was within 6 feet of me. It's kind of creepy, right? But again, it's a big organization. You're not going to set up that camera system in your house, right? So the prevention at workplaces was greater. Now, maybe none of this stuff works. That would be the question. So I have a few data sets. One is from the Duke Health System. Duke is down in North Carolina. It's both a university, it's a health system. They have a couple hospitals, clinics, doctor's offices. This is the whole system. When COVID first came, so I mean in the first 12 or 14 days, doctors and nurses in the health system of Duke were getting a lot of COVID. And furthermore, they tracked it down. Where did they get it from? They got it from each other. They got it from the COVID patients. So they had some meetings and they said, we've got to prevent. What are we going to do? And they had a whole kitchen sink of things they tried. They have their opinions which ones worked. I'm not sure how we can know it. They did a whole kitchen sink of things. And what happened is they cut by a factor of 6 or something. They continued to trace, so a doctor and nurse, there's doctors and nurses in Duke, some of them still got COVID, but almost always they got it from outside of work once they did the prevention. And what I've done here is shown on the scale of the ratio of infections per hour. Of course, we're not in all places in the same amount of time. Infections per hour at work compared to infections per hour outside of work. Because in the Duke group, we could measure that, both before and after they prevented. They were a medical system, so they were open. We could measure that. And we could see that they went from being quite unsafe in terms of getting COVID per hour when they started, until they prevented, and then they became very safe. In fact, I had doctors tell me during COVID, Casey, if you're worried about getting COVID, why don't you just work in the COVID ward? Because we're going to suit you up so much. It'll be very uncomfortable, but you're not going to get COVID. And that's kind of what was happening. I remember here on the campus, when we opened, a lot of students didn't come back. It's like the dorms were just too unpleasant. We had so many protocols. Again, we can argue about whether they were worthwhile or not, but it was unpleasant. And some kids said, I'm going to stay home with mom and dad. They don't have these kind of rules. Notice how the externalities kind of changed sign there. Coming to the campus was actually a positive externality because you're going to a place where we weren't spreading disease. And those kids who stayed home to be with mom and dad and their high school friends were getting the disease more. Here's some data from schools. Now, the schools were closed before, so they weren't even allowed to be open unless they're preventing, so I don't have red lines for them. But we can see that the schools, number one, they prevented. They took steps to prevent, and it seems like they worked because in these cases in Wisconsin and in North Carolina, we could track when a student or a teacher got COVID, where they get it from. They did the contact tracing sort of thing. And we can see it's much safer on a per hour basis to be in school than at home. And this was actually a place where in the neighborhoods around these schools, there was lots of COVID going on. But a lot of the medical people said we shouldn't go to work in school. And the economics says, no, that's where the prevention is going to be the highest. You at least need to entertain the idea that maybe we want to have people go to high prevention places, even if they have some kind of medical disadvantage, holding prevention constant. Now, one thing that people did around the schools to try to justify why we should close the schools is they said, well, we studied the flu. And with the flu, school is a place where flu spread a lot. But schools didn't do anything to prevent the flu because it didn't cost really anything. So again, the economics would tell you, you shouldn't try to generalize the flu experience in and out of school with the COVID experience because they have different incentives. Now, you might learn a little bit something about that you could generalize with having a model like we've built, but you just can't straightforward say, let's do the blue line in flu, which goes above 1, and assume that'll be the line for COVID. Not even close.